The boy stepped onto the stage with bare feet, borrowed clothes, and a guitar that looked older than his dreams. No one in the room expected anything special. But when he sang the first line of Hotel California, the world stopped breathing. Before this story ends, you'll understand why millions were left in tears. If stories of raw talent, survival, and unexpected miracles move your heart, subscribe now, because this is one voice you will never forget. No one noticed the boy at first. He stood quietly at the edge of the stage, barefoot on the cold floor, his toes curling slightly as if he were unsure whether he truly belonged there. The lights above him were too bright, the audience too large, and the silence too heavy. To most people watching, he looked like a mistake in the lineup, a child who had wandered into the wrong place. His shirt was faded, his jeans worn thin at the knees, and the guitar in his hands carried scratches that told stories older than he was. This was not how stars usually appeared. This was not how legends were born. Or so everyone thought. The judges exchanged polite glances, the kind reserved for contestants they expected to gently dismiss. The audience shifted in their seats, phones half raised, curiosity low. Someone whispered that he looked too young. Someone else murmured that he didn't even have shoes. In a world obsessed with polish and perfection, this barefoot boy seemed out of place, like a page torn from another book entirely. When asked his name, his voice barely carried across the room. He said it softly, as if afraid the sound might break. He explained where he was from, a small place most people in the audience had never heard of, a place where music drifted through open windows and survival came before dreams. He didn't give a dramatic backstory. He didn't ask for sympathy. He simply said he loved music, and that was enough. Then came the question everyone expected. What are you going to sing? He paused. Just long enough for doubt to creep in. Just long enough for a few people to smile nervously. Then he said the words that made the judges raise their eyebrows and the audience lean forward. Hotel California. A risky choice. A legendary song. A song that had been sung, covered, copied, and sometimes ruined more times than anyone could count. It was the kind of song that could end an audition in seconds if done wrong. And here was a barefoot boy, barely tall enough to reach the microphone comfortably, preparing to take it on. The music began softly. Just a few gentle notes from his guitar. His fingers moved with care, not flashy, not rushed, as if each string mattered. The audience waited. Some prepared to cringe. Some prepared to clap politely when it was over. Then he sang. The first line came out raw and honest, not trying to imitate the original, not trying to impress. It was his voice, unpolished but full, carrying a weight that didn't seem possible for someone so young. The room changed instantly. Conversation stopped. Smiles faded. Eyes widened. By the second line, something strange was happening. The judges weren't judging anymore. They were listening. There was a quiet pain in his voice, a sense of having lived far more than his years suggested. He didn't sing like someone chasing fame. He sang like someone telling the truth. Each word landed softly but stayed, echoing in the room long after it was sung. As the song continued, the audience leaned in without realizing it. Phones that had been raised casually were now held still, careful not to miss a second. A woman in the front row wiped her eyes before she understood why. A man crossed his arms tightly, as if bracing himself against a memory the song had awakened. But the real twist wasn't just the voice. It was the emotion behind it. Halfway through the song, as he sang about a place you can never leave, his eyes closed for a brief moment. It wasn't for drama. It was instinct. And in that moment, the truth slipped through. This song wasn't just music to him. It was home. It was escape. It was survival. Unbeknownst to most of the audience, the boy had learned this song years earlier on a broken radio that barely worked. At night, when the world around him fell quiet except for distant traffic and tired voices, he would listen to old songs drifting through static. Hotel California was one of them. He didn't understand all the words at first, but he understood the feeling. The loneliness, the longing, the sense of being trapped and dreaming at the same time. Music became his shelter when life offered none. He grew up in a place where shoes were optional because they were expensive. Where guitars were shared, repaired, restrung, and loved until they fell apart. Where applause didn't exist, only the quiet nod of someone who needed a song to get through another day. As he reached the chorus, something unexpected happened. His voice didn't get louder. It got deeper. More controlled. more intentional. It was as if he had been holding back, saving something important for this moment. The judges sat frozen. One leaned forward, elbows on the desk, eyes locked on the boy. Another blinked slowly, as if trying to process what they were hearing. This wasn't a child singing an adult song. This was an artist telling a story through borrowed words that somehow became his own. When the guitar solo came, he didn't rush it. He didn't try to replicate the original note for note. Instead, he played it simply, letting space do the work. Every pause felt deliberate. Every note felt earned. And then, just when the room thought it had given everything it could give, the boy added something no one expected. Emotion. Not forced. Not exaggerated. Real. His voice cracked slightly on a line that spoke of longing, and instead of breaking the moment, it deepened it. The crack stayed. He didn't hide it. He let it be heard. And in that vulnerability, the performance crossed an invisible line. This was no longer an audition. It was a moment. The final chorus rose gently, carried not by volume but by belief. When he sang the last line, his voice softened, almost whispering the ending, as if he were afraid to let the song go. The last note hung in the air. Silence. Not the awkward kind. Not the polite kind. The heavy silence that follows something meaningful. Then one person stood. Then another. Then the entire room. The applause erupted, loud and unstoppable, not because the performance was perfect, but because it was honest. The boy stood there, eyes wide, unsure what to do. He hadn't expected this. He hadn't imagined it. He simply hugged his guitar closer, like an old friend. One judge shook their head slowly and smiled, not the smile of entertainment, but the smile of recognition. Another wiped their face and laughed softly, embarrassed by the tears. Someone said, "I forgot I was listening to a song I've heard 1,000 times." And that was the truth. He had taken a song the world thought it knew and made it feel new again. When asked where he learned to sing like that, the boy shrugged. He said he sang wherever he could. On streets. At small gatherings. For himself. For anyone willing to listen. He didn't talk about hardship. He didn't describe struggle in detail. He didn't need to. His voice had already said everything. But the story didn't end there. After the audition aired, the world reacted in a way no one had predicted. The clip spread across social media, shared by people who had never watched a talent show before. Comments poured in from every corner of the globe. Veterans, teachers, musicians, parents, people who said the song reminded them of someone they had lost. People who said they hadn't cried in years. They all asked the same question. Who is this boy? Interviews followed. Offers came. Opportunities opened. But through it all, the Barefoot boy stayed grounded. He still played the same guitar. Still sang the same way. Still took off his shoes whenever he felt nervous, because it reminded him of where he started. When asked what he wanted next, he didn't say fame. He didn't say money. He said he wanted to keep singing, and maybe help others feel less alone. And that was the greatest twist of all. In a world chasing perfection, it wasn't the lights, the stage, or the judges that mattered most. It was a barefoot boy, a borrowed song, and the courage to sing it honestly. Because sometimes, the voices that change us don't arrive polished. They arrive real.